Hi, everyone. So I am Lisa from Foodocracy, and this is Leslie, of course, from Primary Beans. And we are here talking today a little bit about this amazing transition between Primary Beans and Foodocracy. I am very, very lucky girl. I get to take the reins over at Primary Beans very soon. You guys may not know this, but we've actually been working together for years. And if you are a member, if you're lucky enough to be a member in the Foodocracy Heirloom Bean and Grain Club, you're familiar with Primary Beans because they've been in the club since the very first harvest of Primary Beans. Do you remember the first time we ever talked? It was so long ago.
I know, it really was. Yeah.
And we were very, very much aligned. Our missions have always been the same. And we've joked a lot over the years that we didn't start either one of our businesses to make money. And it was true. We started it because we both had this really amazing passion, and it's the same. So I started Foodocracy to support a more independent and sustainable food system. And we support farmers all across the United States, a little bit in Mexico, but really mostly in the United States so far. We love supporting our farmers and bringing you guys things that are fresh off the farm, not going through distributors, giving the farmer the maximum amount of money that they could possibly get, and giving you the freshest, most amazing product you could possibly get. It's kind of like having the farmer's market, the dry stuff at least sent to your doorstep directly from the farmer's market. It's amazing. And I'm super excited to now also be heralding Primary Beans. We're getting a lot of questions. We want to hop on here just to kind of like answer some of your questions, talk a little bit about the future of both brands. So I thought I'd start by asking Lesley a little bit about, one of the big reasons that drew me to Primary Beans is her incredible sourcing. I think that this really gets to the heart of Primary Beans. And besides the fact that they taste delicious and they're super fresh, this has been my big thing. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, your sourcing philosophy and how you all started that.
Sure. Yeah, that means a lot to hear that. And it means a lot to hear that from the community. I grew up in the fresh produce world. My grandfather kind of was a fresh produce pioneer. My father, basically most people in my family. So I always grew up around this sort of distribution fresh produce side of things. And I feel like that really kind of paved the way for what I ended up doing. And then later on, I kind of had more of an interest in nutrition, which I studied as an undergraduate, and then agriculture. And I think with agriculture, I've always really gravitated towards the complexities and kind of the untold stories, which led me to pursue a master's degree in agriculture and the environment. And yeah, I think for me, Primary Beans was really a culmination of everything that I had done, whether it's on the academic side, but also the different various jobs that I've had since. And it's very much, this idea of like piecing together this web of amazing farmers and then figuring out how to kind of bring it all together and tell that story to the home cook. And that's exactly why I started Primary Beans. And of course, having worked in agriculture, I really got to know the amazing role that beans play with soil health and crop rotations. And so, of course, for me, doing something like beans, given my passion for um, just agricultural systems that are doing things right and really thinking about the future, beans were a no-brainer. And so when I met my first farm, it was the most exciting thing to be able to bring it all together. And here I am 5 years later.
Amazing. So, of course, I think the biggest question everyone has is what's next for Lesley, and why is she leaving Primary Beans? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I've talked about it quite a bit in my newsletter to my amazing community that we built. And, it's one of those things where the unexpected outcome of everything that I've done has been finding this platform to write about those complexities and untold stories that I was talking about. And I've always, being a bean brand, had to link it back to beans because otherwise I think it would kind of feel random if people just got if I just wrote things top of mind and just sent them out to the Primary Beans community, because people were really there for the beans. And I just realized that there might be someone better out there to bring Primary Beans to grow it to what it deserves to be. And I just kind of felt like I have two young children, and I just really felt like I maybe should be writing now. And it was a really hard decision. It's the most gratifying thing I ever did was build this thing from scratch. And when you and I started talking, and when I announced this decision to step down and pursue food systems writing, the conversations that we had got me really excited because I knew that someone like you could carry it forward, with a strong vision and the strong mission. And so, I'm so excited with how everything unfolded.
Oh, thanks. I am very excited. I have to say, I was just devastated when you told me the news. We had a little conversation, not long before you announced, and you told me the news that it was it for primary beans. It was going to be a last harvest. You're moving on to other things. And I was like, no. And, talked a lot with my family over Christmas and thought about it and realized we just couldn't let primary beans go. It's too great and too important. And it fills a niche. A lot of the foodocracy folks have said what's going to change for foodocracy. And for foodocracy, really, I would say nothing's going to change. We're going to have the amazing Bean Crit Club, and it's going to be great. I am going to hopefully be able to lower some shipping costs as we grow our audience, because that's a big, big problem it's a big problem for our stores is
Of
shipping.
course. Yeah.
And we are not Jeff Bezos. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that for us, this is a furthering of our mission, allowing us to do more. And, to be frank, with losing the thought of losing primary beans after already losing Larry Kandarian Farms, because Larry retired. We're so happy for him. We're so sad for us. We were looking at how are we even going to continue the bean club? Like, are we going to be able to get enough really great beans that are the quality we want? We just don't buy just any beans, obviously. We only buy from small farms. We only buy beans that are farmed the right way. And it was really hard because prime foodocracy cannot repackage product. All we can do is buy things that are already packaged. We are not licensed for it. We are not set up for it. We cannot do that legally or safely. So in order for me to work with some slightly larger farmers that aren't interested in packaging their beans, I needed a system like Primary Beans. So
Mhm.
this allows us to continue the club. It also allows us to work with more farmers. We've always wanted to. We've gotten so many calls over the years from farmers who don't package their own beans, and we haven't been able to work with them, and now we can. So it really expands our mission, expands the amount of beans that we're going to be able to have, and is going to be able to bring them to more and more people, which is what we're excited about doing. So thank you.
Absolutely. And, it's been such a pleasure to start introducing you to the primary beans community of farmers and everyone else that's involved to make it happen. And one of the most gratifying things um, that I've experienced is being able to go back to the farms that I had already told there were some uncertainties about the future and tell them primary beans has a new owner. We're going to go ahead and buy the beans, or let's talk about the next harvest, because that to me means everything. And knowing that I have someone like Lisa to continue this mission and vision, and allow me to continue to tell these stories that I really feel like are important to tell. I mean, we're talking, you kind of alluded to this, but we're talking about famous geographical regions that are just kind of losing farmland and losing kind of important bean cleaners and processors, and further consolidation. And we need companies like Primary Beans and Foodocracy, and we need people to tell those stories. And so this is just a dream, the fact that Primary Beans can live on and I can pursue some of this journalistic work that I've always dreamed of doing. So
Well, I am very excited about the Substack. I can't wait to have mine and be reading it all the time. It's very exciting. Lesley, you have a great voice in agriculture, and I'm really excited to hear about it. And don't worry about it. We are not letting Lesley go too far. She's going to be.
I can't say goodbye to these farmers either. So we're behind the scenes. We're moving real quick. And yeah, we are working to get you this new harvest. And yeah, it's way too hard to say goodbye to, this amazing community. So
Yeah, don't worry. She's not going too far. And we're talking already about collaborating on content, as we go forward in this year. So you haven't heard the last of Lesley by far, and you definitely haven't seen the last of the beans that she's helping procure. And she is the person who I talk to when I'm like, hey, what do you think of this farm? What do you think of their farm practices? Like, she's the voice. So don't worry. Nothing's really changing. It just gets to keep growing and expanding. And we just continue doing the same great mission supplying the same great, amazing beans, and also on Foodocracy side, the grains. Now we're calling the two companies sister companies because, you know, you're going to go back and forth between the two if you want to. You can stay wherever you want. It's up to you. So choose your own adventure. And, you know, I would say for the primary beans folks, I'm a cook, as you can see, and I have made all the recipes on Foodocracy's site. We have 180 recipes. Over 100 of them are bean recipes, heirloom bean recipes. So we're going to be bringing some of those recipes over to Primary Beans. You can go over to Foodocracy and grab them. And you're going to be seeing more and more recipes coming, more and more content. I'm looking forward to doing more YouTube videos, bringing on farmers, cookbook authors, things like that. So it's going to be an exciting year ahead. We're really excited to share the news of all these farmers and these beans and spread the love of amazing beans.
I love that. Lisa, can you tell us about what we can all expect about this upcoming harvest?
So, such an exciting harvest. Thank you so much, Lesley, for helping with all this, because I certainly couldn't have done it without you. So, for the Foodocracy folks, one of the really exciting things is we've only been able to work so far with farmers here in the U.S., but we're working with small family farms in Mexico now too that are growing really, truly amazing regional specialties in their own terroir with the, you know, the way it should be, the way that nature intended. That, you know, beans are interesting because of the way that they're bred by the farmers. A lot of these regional varieties and small varieties that you have of beans were bred in order to work well in a certain geographical region with the climate conditions in that region. So a lot of times maybe you'll have a bean and it's the same name, but it's a little bit different and you wonder why. And that's because it's being grown in a different area. And it kind of, these are things that adapt. So now we're going to get to work with these amazing small farmers, same mission, same small farmers, same amazing people doing incredible agriculture down in Mexico to get some really cool regional varieties. So we're excited about that. Excited about supporting them. We're excited about, for primary beans, we're going to be bringing in some of the farmers from Foodocracy. So we have Fifth Crow Farms hitting this year. We're going to have a couple of really rare varieties there. We are definitely going to be bringing the Rio Zape. I am excited to tell you. So that's going to be coming to the store. We're working on some more new varieties. So it's going to be an exciting year full of new beans, plus your old favorites. And, you know, we're looking forward even more to 2026. So it's going to be great. And for all of you bean enthusiasts, get on the wait list right now for Foodocracy's Heirloom Bean and Grain Club, because I am going to be opening that up for you guys soon, very, very soon, so that you can join the Bean and Grain Club. It's pretty exciting.
And Primary Beans had its own membership, the Bean People membership, and a lot of people have been asking me what's going on this year. You know, I've kind of been communicating along the way that there's a little bit, some uncertainties, but given that your background, Lisa, is in building these amazing boxes and delivering them directly to home cooks, you know, there's a lot of new and exciting things that this membership can look forward to. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. So we are almost out of time and we've taken up so much time, but I thought we'd stop with some rapid fire questions, which I'm going to start carrying on. So anybody I introduce into these YouTube channel is going to get the rapid fire questions. Okay. Lesley, what is your favorite bean variety?
Flageolet. I love its minty green color. It's kind of delicate, nutty flavor, and the fact that it stays intact in salads and, you know, baked bean dishes. It's an amazing bean. But I mean, I love all beans, but flageolet right now is the bean that I'm reaching for. What about you, Lisa?
For me, it is Ayocote Morado. That is always, because I love how meaty they are and how big they are, and they've got that lovely flavor. And I like to put them in like a mole sauce and use them on tacos. And they're my favorite chili bean for a chili. So that's my personal favorite.
I mean, that's a close second for me. And we will be, can we say it? We will be introducing our Puebla Ayocote Morado for this harvest, or reintroducing rather. So we're very, very excited about that. It's an amazing bean and in fact originated from that area. So it's great. We're really excited.
It's really exciting to be bringing these beans from the area where they're originated. It's the most exciting thing for me. Okay. Next, your favorite bean recipe, the one you cook all the time.
I'm gonna have to say a bean burrito. I grew up, I don't think I mentioned this, but I grew up on the border of Mexico in a small town called Nogales. And northern Mexican cuisine is, what we eat there. And a bean burrito, but it's not just any bean burrito. We're talking like a paper thin, ginormous flour tortilla that's kind of salty and chewy, and then really like kind of runny pinto beans with cheese rolled up. I mean, that is my ultimate comfort food. And I try to make them at home and I, use lard and I do all the things, but it's never quite the same as going to my hometown and eating a bean burrito made by someone else. But that is my absolute favorite. What about you?
Well, there is nothing like a Sonoran style bean burrito, but my favorite bean recipe that I cook all the time is really, really simple. It's actually a French technique from the Basque region of France. I have them on my website called oil braised beans. They cook a bean called the Tolosa bean, which is a Basque region bean you cannot find hardly ever in the United States. But they cook this bean just with water, olive oil, and salt on the stovetop from dry. And it takes maybe 90 minutes, 2 hours maybe to cook from dry because they're fresh. And they are so creamy and so delicious. The big key is you don't stir it. You just shake the pot a little bit because if you stir, you'll break the beans. So you just kind of let this alchemy of thyme and olive oil and water just create magic, and you just get the full flavor of the beans. I mean, it's just so delicious, and I find that it works with pretty much every bean variety out there, and it's my favorite way.
Amazing.
And what is your favorite bean story, your bean memory?
Well, I would probably have to say the bean burrito story that I already said, because that's literally what there were. And the one thing I didn't say is my favorite place to get the bean burrito was actually a Greek diner in my hometown, the only diner, and it was owned by a Greek family. And they had kind of an eclectic menu that represented kind of the fusion of cuisines in my hometown. But they had an off menu bean burrito, and my sister and I would always get that and a vanilla milkshake. And that is probably my favorite bean memory. What about
I love
yours?
so cooking dry beans, having a pot of beans on the stove just isn't a thing in Ohio. People don't do it. So you rarely find that. And I didn't really fall in love with a pot of beans on the stove until I moved to California. It was like, what is this thing that you guys are doing? And when I was growing up, there was a dish we lovingly called beaners and wieners, and it was baked beans with cut up hot dogs. And it was traditionally served for cookouts and camping mostly, but I asked for it all the time because I absolutely loved it. But it wasn't about the hot dogs. I would push those to the side. I loved the baked beans. They were my favorite. Those creamy, yummy, slightly sweet, yum baked beans. My
What
favorite.
kind of beans do you think they were?
Well, I mean, these were
Like a
canned.
navy bean, maybe?
They were probably a navy. They were
Okay,
probably navy. Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
got it.
So just a creamy little white bean. I probably would have done well in Europe where they do, baked beans on toast every morning. Would have been good for me. you know? But yeah, but now I love beans in all their form. But that was my thing growing up, and that was like my first bean memory and my first like love of beans. I was also a beans and chili person. Like I know there's like a divide of no beans or beans in your chili, but like I'm a beans and chili person. Actually, I'm a no meat, just beans and chili person, beans and veggies person. So like for me, that was the other big reason that I would do beans, and growing up at least. And now I know how much amazing they are and that I use them in everything.
I love that.
So we are going to say goodbye for now, but we'll be back. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, and hit us up with your questions and your comments and your thoughts, because, I want to hear them all. I answer every email. So email away, and we get back to every single person. Trust me. Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.